right? It's mainly what is your relationship with what you're eating? Personally, I love sugar and I have an addiction to caffeine. I am a caffeine addict. Okay, hello. Welcome back to episode 3 of The Cost of Curiosity. I am Carissa Lacey. Let's get started. So, the thing that I'm curious about today, the thing that I want to explore conceptually is, does what we consume impact us? I feel like off of the jump, we all obviously yes, to some degree, but to what? So I want to explore that. And then secondly, are we aware of what we consume? So on Thursdays are the day that I record my podcast. I've written down in stone because I've been struggling to commit to doing this because I've been scared or whatever reason. Life always comes in the way. And so I've written it down in stone. Like every Thursday leading up until my launch date, I'm going to record one episode. And so I am on my way to record episode 3. And I get a text that my dad just had a heart attack and they're at the hospital. So swerve, right? Go straight to the hospital, hang out with them, be there, do all of the things. And they keep asking me, like, what were you doing, before you came and did this? And I was like, oh, I was about to record my podcast episode. Oh, what was the topic on? Right? Conscious consumption. And every time they kind of just laughed, right? Because how ironic that that's kind of what got my dad in here in the first place is what he consumed. So my dad had a previous heart attack about 8 years ago, and after his heart attack, he started being very conscious of what he consumed. He went completely raw fruits and vegetables for like 6 months. He lost like 50 pounds, got into great shape, and was just like taking life by the balls, right? Like really excited about getting his health back. In the past couple of years, it slowly started to dwindle, and he's been eating a lot more of his favorite foods again, bacon and pies and Haagen-Dazs, and a little bit less conscious about what he was consuming, which everyone could assume that played a role in the eventual tragic heart attack that he had last week, which, by the way, he is alive and well. I should mention he is back home. We made him dinner yesterday. He's doing good. So it makes very much obvious sense that the food we consume is going to impact us in the future and in the present. But you guys may not even know this one extra little tidbit is that whatever you are feeding your body, it's physiologically changing your gut biome to want to continue for it to be fed in that way, even if it's not the healthiest for the body. For example, vegetarians, when vegetarians are vegetarians or vegans for a really long time, their gut biome is like completely turned off to meat. Like if you try to introduce meat into their diet, they will like forcefully reject it, right? Because their gut biome is like absolutely not, even if they are anemic or they need those needs from the meat. So just thought that was a little interesting, and we'll bring that back up later. But my overall prescription for when it comes to like what foods we consume to be consciously aware of our consumption in regards to our diet is not being like hyper vigilant and crazy about calories, counting calories or like sticking strictly to a diet, whatever diet it is that you choose, right? Like that type of like intense maneuvering is like not my jam. However, I do live by and try to encourage people to be conscious of what they consume. What does that look like, right? It's mainly, what is your relationship with what you're eating? Personally, I love sugar and I have an addiction to caffeine. I am a caffeine addict. Um, but I was not aware of that for a really long time, right? And now that I've been aware of it, I've started taking steps to head in the right direction. And I'm not perfect, right? But it shows us areas where we can improve. So that just generalized being aware of what you are consuming into your body and being aware of your relationships with what you eat. Cool. So, what else do we consume other than food? Music, TV, news, social media, books, video games, podcasts, etc., etc., etc. So, science has done some research to answer the question, what does what we consume actually impact us? And they have all categorically said yes. The answer is in the neuroplasticity of consumption, which is fancy words to explain that what we frequently consume literally reshapes our neural pathways. When we are consuming a lot of outrage media, right? When we are consuming all these negative fear-based things, then that is what we see in the world around us, and we are unable to see information that does not fit into that paradigm. Much like, even if that's better for us, right? Much like the gut biome of the vegan. So yes, to answer question number 1, it greatly impacts us. Create a little chart here to go through some of those and discuss with you guys how each one of them potentially impacts the mind, body, and spirit. So negative news. And they're kind of like obvious if you think about them, right? Like negative news is going to increase your anxiety. It's going to increase your hypervigilance to be aware of everything going around you. What does this do to your body? It increases cortisol, right? Like it increases that stress hormone, and it increases cynicism in your spirit, in the way that you view the world. Uplifting media does the opposite. It increases your mood. It relaxes your body. It gives you hope and connection for the future, right? Like kind of obvious things if you think about them, but we don't that often. Social media is another one, right? If we're just continuously consuming, something that they've noticed through research is that there's a lot of self-comparison. Our nervous systems get dysregulated, and there's an increase in disconnection between people because they're communicating on the internet, which is like our bodies haven't and our minds haven't really adapted to how to do that, right? It's like so many times people will say the most asinine thing on the internet that they would never say to your face, right? Like there's just a level of disconnection. Books, long form, they found that increases empathy, it increases focus and reflective depth, which cool. We should all read more. Video games, right? Increased cognitive skills is variable depending upon one's personality and the games that they play. And then it has a mixed reviews on social bonds. And it even reminds me of like when there was like increased, as sad it is as it is to talk about, right? There's an increase in mass shootings, and everyone's like, it's those video games, you know? And that was like a really big thing, of trying to get kids to stop playing violent video games. I don't know. I'm not here to say one way or the other if that made a big impact or not, but it's just interesting to think about that, like, we should be aware of what we're consuming all of the time. I personally don't think that was the biggest influence, but whatever. Next is music. Music is great at mood modulation. Like if you want to get real high or low, like you can find music that will do that. It will change your mind, your physiology, and sometimes it's great to just get the emotional catharsis, those feelings that are inside of you, out of you, right? So those are different things that we consume and how they impact our bodies. So, what is the prescription, right? Are we going to be super anal about every single thing that our kid watches? Am I no longer watching any violent movies? Am I no longer playing dangerous video games? Like, no, again, like, I don't really, personally, I don't really vibe with trying to control all of the factors around me to try to keep my inside safe. I don't think that that's possible. Life is going to come at me one way or the other. All I can do is strengthen my ability to adapt to those things. So I have the same prescription as for the food, right? Just being conscious of what we consume. And it's not a judgment thing, it's just an awareness thing. Once you become aware that what you consume impacts you, regardless of how much or how little, it changes your mind on what you want to consume, right? So there's two things that helped me try to figure out my relationships with things. If they, right, like how was it impacting me? The first one is, how does my body like physically literally react to said thing? Right? Like does it speed up my heart? Does it quench right here? Does it squeeze right into my heart? Do my hands start fidgeting and I get nervous? Am I sweating? Or is my chest starting to open? Am I smiling more? Am my eyebrow, like, how's my actual body changing to the stimulus? And then two is, what is my relationship with it? Is it a life-giving relationship that's producing great fruit? Or is it a relationship that is just sucking energy out of me and not serving me or others, right? So those are two grounding examples or questions that we can think about as we try to evaluate what we're consuming. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples from my life, not because like I've got it figured out, but because I've been trying a lot of random things for a while, because as I've started to grow in my understanding of this kind of thing. And the first one that it's fascinating is social media. So I was late to the social media game. I didn't get an iPhone until I was 18. So by the time that I got an iPhone and I started on Instagram and Twitter, all of my friends like were in it. They had already kind of perfected the game. And it created so much anxiety inside of me. Like every time I would tweet something, I would see that one person liked it, maybe. And then I would have this spiral of thoughts in my mind that, like, people are making fun of me. They think I'm dumb for posting. All lies, right? Like, just all of these 18-year-old thoughts swarming through my brain with all of my Instagram and all of my Twitters, because I was comparing myself to everyone else, right? Kind of what we talked about earlier. Social media has that ability to do that. So I just stepped away. I was like, this is not good for my system. Like, it does not make me feel good. It creates that speeding up heart rate. I'm sweating more. Like, just get it out of my life. So I stepped away. But I did not stop consuming. I was at this point just consuming social media. I would never comment, I would never share, I would never post. Maybe I'd like your video, but like I was non existent, but I was still consuming nonstop. Like so much to a point where it was like an addiction. Like I just wasted 3 hours scrolling on my phone, you know? And so then I became aware of like, holy crap, this is too much. This is not a healthy relationship. And so I stopped and I was like, the words that I got, I wrote them down real big: create over consume, right? So I took a fast, stopped 2 weeks. I took all of my social media off of my phone, and it was weird in the beginning. As I started to adapt, I could realize like, whoa, like I really am used to looking at this kind of stuff all of the time. Cut it out of my life. And I made an agreement to myself that I wasn't going to put it back on my phone until I was creating over consuming, right? And so I just didn't have social media for 2 years. No one noticed, right? Like, it's not like the internet missed me. I wasn't posting anything anyways, but I needed to for the relationship that I had with social media. Doesn't mean also relationships with social media are bad, just mine was not good. So I did not have it on my phone for 2 years. It was actually kind of awesome, right? People would be like, follow me. Can't, it's not on my phone. I can't. And so it wasn't until I started my business and everyone's like, you gotta be on social media, you gotta be checking it all the time, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it back on there, but I'm gonna post. I'm gonna try to utilize it and I'm gonna create more than I can consume. Right? So I had to put some guardrails up for myself. Now, what this looks like is I've got Facebook only on my phone, still no Instagram, no TikTok, Facebook only, and I put a 20-minute cap on. 20 minutes and you're done, my girl, because I'll just stay on that thing. And I actually just realized as I was preparing for this that that I kind of am starting to create more than consume. I finally just this year like broke through that fear of posting, and I post every Monday. I'm doing my 52 weeks of goodness, even if it's just like a Canva post of the challenge for that week. Follow me, you'll see the challenges. So it's post on Monday, and then I fast on Tuesday. I do not do social media at all on Tuesdays. So I don't even know what they say till Wednesday. And then it's like not a big deal, right? So I can work through whatever I need to work through. So I finally have that healthy relationship with social media. And it took a lot of iterations to get there. And I never had any shame in any of that, right? All good. Okay. The next one is music. I listen to a lot of music like all of the time. And when I was younger, I bet you guys probably had a very similar experience. You just turn the radio on and you'd get ready and you'd listen to whatever the heck was on the radio. I remember my mom coming in and being like, everything you listen to gets soaked into your subconscious, like be aware of that. And I was just like, okay, mom, like, whatever. Now, even though I don't understand what that looks like, she's totally right. Like we totally do soak in everything that we hear, and it does impact us to one degree or another. And so once I started to learn that through trial and error, I realized that that my music taste started to shift, and I didn't really even notice that my music taste started to shift till I listened to a really old playlist, and like no wonder I was angry. No wonder our whole generation was angry. Our favorite song was like, I cut my life into pieces, right? Like we were speaking that over ourselves all of the time, and no judgment, right? Like no judgment to where I was at that time when I was listening to that type of music, or to where anyone else is in their journey with music. Like no judgment. But now that I've become more aware, like I listened to more, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but I'm very conscious about the music that I consume. So I'm gonna give you guys a little tidbit of what that looks like when I get ready. And it's kind of like almost like anal. Like it's kind of not really, not really. I really, really enjoy this setup, but it's what works best for me. So in the morning, I listen to worship music. I vibrate at that highest source that I can get, right? Closest to the divine while I get ready for work. Then, as I drive to the office, I have a drive to the office playlist. And I created it in 2024, so it's called my 2024 Anthems. And it is all my hype songs that get me in the right vibration to serve. My career is a very energetically opened exchange deal, right? Like I have to be at a place of vibrating, at a place of healing and love. Like I can't come into the office not turned on, not tuned in, not at the top, or like people literally don't do as well under my care if I'm not tuned in, right? Like we've all been adjusted by a chiropractor that was not on it, and like ow, that hurt. Right? So it was very important to me to get into the place that I needed to get into. Then And that's just for me, right? Like, I've never even shared that playlist with anybody, but if anyone were to listen to it, it's like, wow, that's Carissa. How awesome. Everyone should do that. The next is my butterfly effect playlist. This is the playlist that I play while I'm working for everyone else to also listen to, right? While you're waiting in my lobby, while you're hanging out with me, like the butterfly effect playlist is playing in the background. Again, shout out to Dr. Devin Vrana. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned her every single episode so far. But she sent that playlist to us, and it has still to this day been on point. I love it. Then and only then, after I've completed all of the things that I wanted to accomplish for the day, will I listen to my podcasts. Right? That is when I get to like veg out a little bit because of like still what it does, right? So my favorite podcast is a political podcast, and shout out to Part of the Problem. And that's the third thing is politics. So if I were to take a moment to reflect back on those two questions in regards to politics to try to become one, what is my relationship? What is my relationship with politics? And if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm addicted. Like, it's an addiction. Like, I could spend all day fascinated trying to learn and understand the inner workings of what is going on in American politics right now. It's like a reality TV show. However, it is a distraction. Like, it is not on mission for me. And the biggest one, like the thing that like got me out of this was Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk stuff. I was like addicted, like drug in my veins, wanting to listen to it all of the time. And I was like, this is not a healthy relationship, dude. Like, this is starting to take you away from like living in the moment. Same thing. How is my body responding to it? It's making me more easily angry and wanting to debate and fight people. like like no, I don't want that in my life, right? Like, why am I feeding this? Why am I feeding this feeling? Because it's an addiction and it's not in a proper relationship, right? So now I had to put some barriers around it because it was increasing my stress levels, right? It was increasing my anger. So now people in my life know that I don't talk about politics in the morning. I specifically don't talk about Donald Trump in the morning. And it doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you were for Donald Trump or if you were hate Donald Trump with a vengeance, right? Like, the character of Donald Trump gets people so riled up on either side and creates so much like divisiveness inside them and when discussing it that like it's just not good for me. And I felt it inside me, and I'm like, no, because again, I have to be at a certain level of clarity. I have to be a certain level of tuned on to serve the people who need me. And whenever I talk about Donald Trump, again, regardless of what side, who I'm discussing it with, it doesn't matter. I bump back down to here, like it sparks something inside of me that I can feel is not life giving. It's just not. So I hold off and I wait until the end of the day. And then as I'm driving to an hour to go see my sister or my boyfriend or wherever, I'll put my politics podcast on and I love it. And it's a healthy relationship. It's like a glass of wine at the end of the night, right? It's beautiful. So now I have an overall healthier relationship with these three major things that I consume all day. And they've changed throughout the time. So my invitation is without judgment to look inward and see what is my body, spirit, even my mind trying to show me about what I consume. And with that, trying to be a little bit more aware through those two primary questions, right? One, what is my relationship with said thing that I'm consuming? And two, how does it feel in my body? And that second one can be a little hard, right? Like we spend a lot of time trying to disconnect from what our body feels, right? Like if our modern system that we live in, if we feel pain, we take painkillers. We tell it to shut up. We don't get curious and try to figure out why it's in pain, right? So our culture has kind of shut up the dialogue between our body and what it's doing in our mind and our spirit, and trying to figure out what it means. So that's something that we're going to actually explore in further episodes on how to reconnect that, to use that first question as a better tool, right? See appropriately how your body is responding to these things and just use it as information. So that's it for today. Peace.